rest assured you will also have our support if you need it. Let's move on to the next speaker, Jesus Pla. He comes from the ENG regional department. He's going to talk to us about jurisdictional boundaries. Hello, good afternoon. Yes, I talked to the director of the regional service, and apart from what we call boundaries, we do other projects and additional work with gvSIG. So first of all, I'm going to tell you how we use gvSIG. In 2008, when Fernando Cruz joined us as the regional director, he thought of managing the service, the department, with a database. In our regional department, apart from administration procedures, we do other things. We also do seismic data, geodesic, cartography, and boundary lines. So he thought all this could be done with a database. And as for the graphics side, he thought it should be viewed with gvSIG projects. Here you see the administration tasks, all our contacts, our databases with meetings, minutes of meeting, etc. Here you see for geodesics a campaign for the lower order section with gvSIG projects, and here we can view the status of all gvSIG projects for geodesic boundaries. Seismic movements, earthquakes. Here we see the number of earthquakes based on their magnitude ever since the 1950s. In relation to this database, we can view it. We can view the information thanks to a gvSIG project. Cartography. In the regional department, we are responsible for controlling the topographical database issued by the Valencian Cartographic Institute. We control that rules are complied with, and we also check that things are right with the national database. By checking all this information, you know who takes control, who is responsible for this and that, and here we have another gvSIG view. And now let me move on to the other side of our tasks, limit boundaries or boundary lines for each town. We can see all the actions taken since 1970. When Fernando joined us, he also wanted to know the number of milestones in the Valencian community, some 10,000 milestones. You can draw statistics from this database about the milestones in each area. For each town, all actions, all interventions are recorded. We have individual projects done or conducted on the very boundaries. Let me now focus on the geographical improvement of boundary lines, objectives, definitions, procedure, prescriptions, work stages to register the final line to the Cartographic Institute, with the Cartographic Institute, current situation of boundary lines, and conclusions. Sorry, the picture is not very good. I attended an open source conference recently, and I used PowerPoint. Sorry, beginner's mistake. Right, objectives. The main objective is to improve jurisdictional boundaries for municipal towns based on current boundary acts, to see to it that conditions are fulfilled for boundary lines in the Valencia region, and to promote from the regional department the publication of milestones and border points. And finally, all official cartographies or maps should include the corrected boundary lines instead of having, the chaotic arrangement presently or currently stored at the cadaster. And finally, to develop tools for the treatment of geographic data. A number of definitions first, for those of you who are not very familiar with the subject. First of all, what is a municipal district or boundary? Well, it is the territory where the council exercises the rights. A plurimunicipal boundary is all the lines between two consecutive common points common to 3 towns or more towns, what we call 4-point milestone. Demarcation Act. A demarcation act or deed is a legal deed by means of which the councils involved express their agreement about the location of the milestones. You see a deed here. It literally specifies the location of the milestones, the stakes, and the dimensions of such milestones. These demarcation acts and field logs date back to the late 19th century, early 20th century. Should disparity exist with the field log, the Demarcation Act prevails, which is the legal document. Here we see some signatures of a Demarcation Act representing the agreement about the location of the milestones. What is a field log? Or a field notebook is a document used by the topographer to resurvey the location of the milestones and the stakes. It should all be recorded, as you can see, and it includes measurements relative to the magnetic north, distances, and more precise measurements. And it also includes other territorial marks. Right, the procedure, the technical procedure. This is the methodology that we want to implement in this type of work. Some external experts conducted some topographic chord in Algemesí, Moncada, and Torrente, and later it was controlled by Higiene. Based on that control, conclusions were drawn, leading to a work methodology for the improvement of boundary lines between towns. Basically, demarcation acts and field logs were kept for the purpose of producing newer documents, and the idea is to recover, to bring back the maps of the past, but based on current standards. By means of this protocol, 3 modalities are applied. This work is done by the Geographic Information Institute and their technicians jointly with companies hired by the Council, and then we are responsible for monitoring together with outsiders or external people from Higiene. And finally, all this information will be recorded and registered with the cartographic injury. The goal is for the boundary lines to be recorded, to be registered with the public register. In the Valencian community, there are many qualified technicians. They can do this job very well. It only takes a bit of training, and we are willing to train them. Let me explain how all this is done. Particularly the control side. We've visited many different councils and explained to them what a logbook and a Demarcation Act is all about. We explained to them the methodology, and we tell them the number of milestones in their municipal area, and we finally give them an example with a screenshot for them to see how badly the stakes, the boundaries have been drawn or were drawn in the past. Once they are aware of the situation, some councils will hire an expert, an engineer, or will contract us. The first thing we do is to read the Demarcation Act very carefully, because in actual fact we want to control, to monitor the work done by the surveyor hired by the council. So we first do the transcription of the Demarcation Act, which is like our preliminary basic document. We do a transcription because these papers are very old, and then we develop the field log by using a spreadsheet. We transfer all the routes onto the spreadsheet. All the distances are also transferred and the coordinates are worked out. If the field log says the route was taken by with a normal compact, then we do the calculations by adding 260 or 380, and then the distance is also obtained. Once all the coordinates are recorded and copied from the logbooks, all the information is exported and then opened with gvSIG. Here we have the first boundary line. It needs to be rotated and moved with the maximum resolution, trying to find matching points between the log and the Demarcation Act to bring things together and make sense out of them. So basically that's what we do. We work with gvSIG projects all the time, and the maps we use, well, we either use the diagrams, the maps from the field logs, then all the photographs from the cadastre, which are very useful because it is the right scale. And in 80% of cases, the milestones, the stakes are on the right place. They coincide with the information on the Demarcation Acts, which is very helpful to try and find the stakes, the marking stakes, and for us to do the matching of the data. And in areas with a lot of works, obviously the situation changes over time, so we try to replicate the actual situation, the original situation, based on the information from the deed, the demarcation deed. What do we do at the office later? Well, the surveyor gives us his or her coordinates and we then compare things. We first see if the situation matches the deed, the original deed. We then check if the situation, the location, is not the location specified in the field log, and we also compare things with the cadastre. If a mismatch is found, well, you can't see it very clearly, but the red line was drawn by the external engineer. We compare things and they are perfect match. But if there is a difference of about 15 meters, a 15-meter mismatch, then we would have to go on site, control things on site, and check the situation on site. In this area, there are 150 boundary stones or boundary marks, and we go and pay attention to those which are not in the original location or those which are mismatched. We go on site, as you can see, and there the surveyors, whether external or internal, find the right location, the new location. Once the line is drawn, the boundary line is drawn, all this needs to be submitted to the Demarcation Office or the Demarcation Committee, which consists of the mayor, 3 members of the local parliament, and neighbor's representative. If they agree with the proposal, they sign an additional deed. What is an additional deed? Well, it's a deed which ratifies, which endorses the original Demarcation Act or deed, but it also includes the list of new coordinates, bringing in more quality, more geometry quality to the original deed. The members of the committee may sign this draft if they agree. I was recently in Cantabria, and with Google Earth, I prepared the proposal, the preliminary proposal, and when I got there, you know, the committee already approved it straight away. So the work is submitted to the committee, and if everything is all right, the council then approves it. And once you have the signature of the whole council, this information is recorded and registered with the Cartographic Institute. To do the registration, the act or the deed is sent, the location of the boundary stones, the ortho photographs used for all this procedure, with the lines, geometry, and a technical report by the surveyor. I forgot to say that the aim is to recover the original boundary lines. If a change needs to be made, it is a third-party decision. The Directorate General for Local Territorial Administration. Our aim is to bring back the past, but with the right quality, the right geometric quality. Because, well, examples abound of bad practices. In Benetúser, Valencia, for instance, there is a demarcation deed, an original deed, which says that given, well, with not a very good accuracy level, and so a mismatch is found. But if you go to any village, any town, any council, take the line you choose from the national topographic map, or take the cadastre lines, the boundaries, you know, they all differ. So we really want to have single boundary lines matching the information on the demarcation deed and the field log. 4 minutes. Conclusions. Well, our pilot test is now completed with the advice of the regional department. We trained the engineers, the surveyors, for them to fill in the questionnaires on the application forms. The work was really focused on identifying and finding the accurate location of boundary stones. We would like to develop further gvSIG tools for this particular project, which is difficult. It's difficult to work with what we call the field logs or field books. It's not easy to find the mistakes. Thank you. That's all from me.
Well, in fact, I would have many questions to be asked here, and I'll ask them anyway, even if I have to do that around here. Well, it's not clear whether this was done at the level of the state or the Valencia region. This was originated here, but now is posted in the IGN webpage and can be extended to the whole of Spain. And regarding these minutes, these documents, which are called final act of demarcation, well, usually this is required by the city council. This is free, and then they decide who is going to do them, depending whether they have their own topographers, if they want a different one. So that means that you don't have access to them if you are just a private person or a researcher. Can you hear me? One question. 1 second. Yeah, we need the answer first. Well, we in the regional service, in order to standardize all this, we want the city council to ask for it, because the competition, all the information is in the city council. So then I agreed with the Senate in Madrid that whenever it is the city council who is asking this, then it's sent for free. So the technicians who are interested on that, then they should ask this to the city council, and the city council is asking us for that. So that's why we should standardize this, because the city councils, they are responsible for the public delimitation. And obviously, my suggestion is that no particular person is doing that, because if the city councils do not agree with that, this has no legal repercussion. There is a case of an Italian, and he has paid 4 times this public delimitation process. So this is sad, and that's why I suggest you to ask the city council to ask that for you. The aim of this is of paramount importance for the planning, for the urban planning, and if this is altered, that's not a problem, without using the field notebooks, the historical field notebooks, and then you can make a final act, and this is signed by all of them, and then that is signed by the council. There is information which is being published in a deficient way because we are not able to see them, and then this is done by decree. We were not able to represent sometimes some of those final demarcations. Sorry, well, anyway, then if anybody is interested on that, then can discuss this with you later. The city councils have competences. City councils, in case they are interested in recovering their limit line, because they have many of these boundary stones. So if the city council is asking for that to the IGN is going to give some kind of help for that. I mean, I'm afraid today is not going to be possible. We will provide all the technical support we can, but the economic support, I find it very difficult nowadays. As I'm telling you, we went to 40 councils, and we told them how important it is but the reality is that they only do that whenever they have a problem with a neighbor. Whenever they have no problems with neighbors, then they try not to touch anything. Some colleagues and even myself, we find boundary stones, and if we could find, and in fact we find it, to correctly measure those boundary stones according to the ISV network or whichever other network, should we send it to you so that you have this information and eventually you can use it? Yes, that would be wonderful. But we should make sure that these boundary stones refer to the ones that they're, for instance, forestry officials very often have informed us about some boundary stones they found.